Welcome to the 78th episode of the Meeple Society, a podcast about board games hosted by two longtime role players turned avid board gamers. My name is Katie.
I'm Greg.
On this episode, we start out with a confession of expensive proportions. We talk about the best ways, well, or at least our ways, of choosing a game to play out of the collection. We dig into another 4 recently played games and rate them old, new, borrowed, or it blew. And finally, we wrap it up by responding to the comments from all of you. But first,
video releases. You're gonna sneak one out. I thought for sure we'd get through a podcast and you would not have anything out, but
nope.
You are sneaking episode 70.
I finished episode 70 today. I finished editing it, got it exported. It's ready to go. I just need to
and this
get
is
it
the
uploaded.
one, this, as you've labeled it, another backtracking episode.
Yes.
This has all the games that we picked up on the way to and from
the retreat.
Plus
some
and anything.
Kickstarters.
Kickstarters and anything we picked up before.
Yep. Yeah, so it's got like 11 games on it, something like that. There's a few. Okay. 11, 12, 15, something like that. I don't know.
So, new to our collection. Do you want to explain or should I?
Okay.
Do you want the truth or her fantasy?
What do you mean by fantasy? Okay, so we went out for dinner for our anniversary, like we always do.
Mm-hmm.
We always do something. And we happen to be down in Greenwood.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a game store down there we hardly ever go to.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not very far away. So silly me suggested, we could just stop by the game store and see what they got. Or something along those lines. Anyway, so we did. And of course, you jumped right on it. I didn't hear any arguments out of you. And we ended up finding 2 things that we really, really wanted and an expansion we really, really wanted. Was it only 2? I feel like it was more than that.
Nope. It was just the 2 and then the
one expansion. Yeah. We spent like $150.
Yeah. Well, 2 of them, they just came out. The expansion's been out for a long, long time, but
I was just happy to find it. Okay, so not counting the expansion, because that was to Explorers. I want to say that Explorers of the North Sea.
No, Raiders.
No,
of the
Raiders
North
of the North Sea. That's right, because we had just played it with
Fields of Fame.
Anyway,
now we have Hall of Heroes.
Yes. So we got that. We'll go into that when we get to Raiders in the playing through our collection. So we'll come back to that. Okay, so new to our collection. I picked up Meadow's Adventure Book. Adventure Book is an expansion to the game of Meadow. It's actually Meadow's second expansion, the first one being, Downstream. Downstream? Yes.
Yes.
You cannot play the 2 together. We actually talked to a gentleman at Gen Con about this one, and it seemed really fascinating. It is essentially 6 different modules.
Yeah.
I think is probably the best word for it. It's all in a book, hence the name Adventure Book. And it's a spiral-bound flip book. And each one of the different adventures or modules plays just slightly differently. Now, we've only gotten to play one of them so far. Mm-hmm. Basically, Meadow plays exactly the same. The only difference is instead of the campfire ring, you now have this book. In this particular case, like when you're collecting your sets, it's now on the book. Everybody is able to collect them, not just one person.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I definitely liked the changes.
Because that one, the first person who gets a set gets a star, and if you're playing the campaign of it,
yes,
the stars mean things once you get done playing it all.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if we'll do the whole campaign or not, but eventually we'll end up doing all 6 scenarios or all 6 modules. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I enjoyed it. Like I said, it's still base Meadow.
Mm-hmm. And it added
with just a couple little tweaks.
The weather cards thingies.
That was interesting. Yes.
Because you went down the track as you
went back up to after like the 3rd time, you went back up.
I can't remember what triggered you to go down the track.
It was okay. So there were 2 little arrow things. Okay, so you know how in regular Meadow, the board has these little notches on it, on 3 of the 4 sides where you put your little arrows, your campfire,
your signs
sticks.
or whatever,
Yeah, your signposts, whatever. With this particular one, it comes with these little, what do I want to call them? I want to call them carrots, and that's not what they are. Thinking of the carrots on a keyboard.
Your tiles that you're laying to pick where you're going?
No, those are the little signs.
Okay.
Okay, so it comes with two pieces that slide into these notches and become notches themselves. One is for the sunshine, one is for the rain.
Yeah.
And then you roll a dice to see exactly where they're going to go, whether it's 1 through 8 along certain sides of the board.
Yep.
And then when you put your little signpost into one of those notches, or you take a card from any row that sun carrot.
Yeah.
And again, it's only because they look like the carrots on a keyboard,
It's
you
like
know?
a V.
Well, yes, or the greater than or less than signs. But anyway, regardless of what you call them, whenever you take a card out of the row that's pointing to, then you get to bump yourself down on the sunshine track.
That's right.
If you take one from the row that the rain is pointing to, you bump yourself down on the rain track. When you've done that 3 times on either of the 2 tracks, you bump back up to the top and you get one of the cards. And those cards get added to your landscapes.
Yeah.
To your treks.
As long as you don't have one of the treasure cards on it already.
Right. Or the treasure card. They can be added to a treasure card, or I don't even think they're called treasure cards or something else. But for life, I can't think of what the name of the actual card is. But there are some weather cards that you can add in. It becomes a 3rd card added or a 2nd card added behind your scenic card. And then there are some that just say, nope, this has to be the only card there. You can't do anything because they're worth like 5 or 6 points.
Well, I was thinking that none of them could go in.
No, some of them could. Some of them could. I don't know. I only got one because I couldn't find scenic cards to save my life.
You've had bad games, period, lately.
Yes, I'm on a losing streak. We'll just put that out there now.
You've had a game here and there, but you're on a losing streak.
Yes, I'm on a losing streak. Anyway, the game you picked up off the shelf
was Inventors of the South Sea.
Yes. South Tigris.
Why does it say South Sea?
I don't know, because it's Inventors of the South Tigris.
Tigris. Yeah, that's a typo.
That's...
Who wrote this script?
I don't know.
Who put it in all the notes?
It was not me.
It even has a link.
It does. It does, and you still wrote it down wrong.
Anyway, South Tigris. The Inventors of South Tigris. This is the 3rd of the South Tigris series. Yeah. Probably the most difficult one of them all. It was definitely, I don't want to say it was difficult, but it was definitely different. It was challenging. There was a lot going on. All right, so with Adventures of the South Tigris, we've only gotten to play this the one time. And I think, I'm trying to remember, you had to have won this. I can't imagine I actually won this one. I think it was close, though. Are you looking at the score? Okay.
I did
not look
All right.
at the score. But
So with Adventures of the South Tigris, the idea is you are inventing stuff, you are building it, and you are testing it. Or you're publishing it and then testing it. You start off with four possible inventions out, and there's always going to be 4 there. Throughout the game, each person or each player has the opportunity to basically create these inventions, to invent them.
yes,
And they're interesting things. Don't get me wrong. It is like, I think I had the bowl was one of mine.
yeah,
It was things that you don't think about, the fact that, well, yeah, somebody had to have invented this stuff, right?
right.
It's really kind of interesting. I had the bookshelf was one of the things I had. So anyway, you have a hand of cards with all these different inventions in it. Each one costs a certain amount of money or resources in order to build. But if that's the action you decide to take, then you place one of your cards down on the invention card. And then that card is slid over to the build area. Or no, I'm sorry, it stays in the invention area
until
somebody builds it.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be the person who invented it. It can be somebody else. Mm-hmm. Somebody else can build it, and then somebody can test it, and somebody else can publish it, or vice versa, publish and then test it. Mm-hmm. Everything you're doing, whether you're the inventor, the builder, the publisher, or one of the testers, you're getting some benefit off that card.
Yes.
So there's benefits all the way around. Even if somebody else ends up building your invention, okay, you turn around and build one of theirs. You both benefit when that happens. It only plays in 3 rounds. There's a total of 3 rounds. But of course, like any worker placement, you do everything you possibly can until you've got a pass, and then the round ends once everybody's passed. I really like this one, and that is a very super high level, very simplistic way to explain it. But I really enjoyed this one. Yeah. I've enjoyed every one of this series so far, of the South Tigris series.
Yeah, because it has a lot of tracks. Because you got your tradesman that you're using to invent to build. You need the tradesman to build, right?
I don't remember. Like I said, I remembered very high level. We need to dig into this one some more.
Yeah.
The
tradesmen are used for either building it or publishing it. One of the two. Yeah. Yes. That you're going up and down on a track. Or they're going up a track because you can raise them up the track on certain things, but they're going to either get flipped over where you can't use them or flipped over where you can use them.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to get them turned over, and you can't do it if you don't have them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to pay for them, and depending on where they are on that
yes, you got
track,
to pay these guys.
Pay however much it says.
Tradesmen are not cheap.
Yeah, I like that. And then the cards that you're putting out that you have in your hands say what it is, like a beaker. It'll say beaker. But then whatever tile you're laying it on is going to finish it off. It's going to put a word in front of it, like the one I see a picture of right now says the resonating beaker. And there was a couple. Oh, one of the ones that we had built was the folding compass.
Yes.
And I get that. It's a folding compass.
It's a thing.
You see that all the time, yeah. But just some of the ways it could come out, just the weird things, kind of reminds me of Small World with the 2 different factions and stuff that you put together.
Yes. No, I did like that too. It made it very interesting.
But did you say it's a dice game?
It is it's a worker placement. I did not say that. Yes, it is more or less a dice placement. You're using dice as your workers. The dice get better as they move up your board, and that is one of the actions you can do is to move them up, to lighten them, and thus move them up your board. Like I said, I really enjoy this one, but we'll definitely be breaking into this one or digging into this one further, no doubt.
Yeah, we have one play of it.
Yes, yeah. So it's a good one. I enjoy it. We broke our rule, though.
Bad Katie. She's a bad influence on me, guys.
You did not.
She has a bad influence on me.
I didn't hear you complaining at all.
And now, it is time for the most anticipated segment of the podcast. It is time for Random Board Game Banter.
How do you pick a game to play from your collection or from a convention or store library? I also thought about this when I was at work today. How do you pick a game to buy as well?
Same thing, yeah.
If you're like us and you're at home and you have your collection in front of you and you're like...
You stare at it for a really long time. Mm-hmm. In the amount of time you stood staring there, you could have played a lighter game.
Well, right now it's kind of easier with us because we have games we need to play for our video series. So there's a shelf of games listed by the video that they're in that's like, okay, we need to get these games played. But then there's sometimes you just don't want to play something on that shelf. You want to play something else.
Sure.
But you sit there. So how it goes at our house when we're going to play just a random game is, Katie, what do you want to play?
I don't know. That's because every time I suggest something, you're like, oh, and you keep looking.
That means that you should get up and grab the game and put it on the table.
Okay. Or you could just grab it since you're already up. But nope, that's not what you want to play. So therefore, you just keep looking.
Exactly.
And then I'll give you another suggestion. And you make the same sound and keep going.
There's a lot of times, though, I'll give you 2 or 3 different games. You're like, eh. And then you'll suggest something, not even ones I suggested. And I'm like going, eh.
Exactly.
And then we sit there and stare at our phones for another hour. It's like, we probably should have played something. It's late now.
Yep.
Yeah, conventions, though, like the... We don't do a lot of convention libraries. We did it at Geek Way to the West. Mm-hmm. We looked in there, and we just went in there to see what they had. And it's like, oh, we haven't played this one. Let's play this one.
Yeah, some of the games that we've always been curious about, just never spent the money on.
And then the retreat, we pretty much stayed down where all the new games were at, the 2024
This year we
releases.
did. We do not always.
No.
This year, though, when we went, we made the conscious decision to not ever play a game just by ourselves.
Yes.
And we stuck to it.
Yeah, we never played a
So,
two-player game.
A lot of it was...
Almost.
Yeah, we almost did.
Bill saved us.
But it was a dedicated two-player game. You can't play it with more than two players. So then we were taking the opportunity to learn it, and then Bill came in and asked us if we wanted to play something else. So we did. Anyway, so I don't know. In the past, it's always been, what have I been curious about that we don't own?
Right.
Yeah. Or honestly, what games are here that we need to get played for the next couple videos anyway, and I don't know of anything else I want to play, or we really want to play it with more people. So we can pull it off and play it.
But normally it's a retreat. I'm looking for games that we don't have.
Yes, exactly. No, this year...
If I got the game, I don't need to play it here. I can play it at home.
Anyway, this year we focused a lot on just 2024 games because we wanted to play through some of those that we don't own. We played a lot of 2024 games this year.
Yes, you did. And we purposely played a lot of 2024 games so we could do a better video for that. Hint, hint. Or what would that be?
Spoiler.
Spoiler, yeah. That's what. Hint, hint.
I don't know what you were going with there.
Yeah, I'm hinting to you that we need to do it. We already have it scheduled.
We do.
I'm still working on the list. Well, I have the list. I'm just adding if we have any more new.
I say we still have 4 weeks left of 2024.
Yeah, and then this weekend we're going to be having. We get to play Galilea. Yeah.
I don't.
Galilea.
Something like that.
Yeah, because Bruce is coming over
Yeah.
and we're playing that one. He even asked, hey, you want to play us?
So anyway. All right. So yeah, that's how we choose. We stare at the collection for a really long time.
And then we sit down and play on our phones.
We do. Now we do have stickers all over the collection.
Yes.
That indicate this is a game we've never played before, or there's an expansion in here that we really like to get played, or that we've never played, or there's this, we've played the game someplace else, but we've never played our copy of it. So therefore it's not been punched yet. And that's always a fun way to start a gameplay.
Yeah. And if anybody's ever watched any of our top 10s.
Yeah.
Or game
You can
playthroughs,
see
you can see
blue
some of them. There's
stickers.
some little blue stickers on the games in the background.
Yep,
That's what
there
they're
sure
for.
is. So, I mean, and that works because sometimes we're just in the mood for something new, or hey, let's clear a sticker.
Yeah.
So it kind of again narrows it down.
Yeah, and a lot of times when we get ready to, we just finished a letter and get ready to start a letter, it's like, hey, let's clear a sticker.
Yep.
Whether it's an expansion or a game we haven't played.
Yeah.
Buying a game.
I know we've talked about what makes us pull one off the shelf. Most of the time, it's going to be one I want to make sure that it has mechanics we enjoy. I'll pull up BGG and just look at the mechanics list. I don't so much look at the rating because I like a lot of games that rated a 5 or 6. And then again, there's some games that rated an 8 or 9 I don't particularly care for. So I don't go by the rating.
Right.
I'll look at the mechanics specifically. Does it have worker placement? Does it have deck building? Does it have trick taking? Does it have take that or blind bidding or auction or some of the things I either like or don't like? Spoilers, I really do not like blind bidding, auctions, or take that. So,
No.
And I don't like area majority. Some area majority, if it's a lighter after effect of the game,
Yeah.
I don't like it to be the main theme of the game.
As I say, because there's a couple of games that we have that have area majority on it, but
it's not the key
not where
of
you're
the game.
fighting
Yeah,
for
it's
it
not the
constantly.
focus of the game.
Yeah. I know. I'll see games. I'll look them up.
Mm-hmm.
I might look at a video or something. I'll look at reviews or whatever, and like,
Yeah.
that looks pretty cool. And I'll put it on a list. And if I see it, I get it.
Yeah. I also will look for games we know we've played someplace and really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And we see them and know that we would like a copy of it, then great. Like when we saw Hall of Heroes just last 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago now, yeah. It had come recommended to us, hey, if you like Fields of Fame, it's really good with Hall of Heroes too. This is Raiders of the North Sea. And we saw it when we were there, knowing it was out of print.
Mm-hmm.
So we went ahead and grabbed it because it had come recommended to us for a game we knew we already enjoyed.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it added a lot to it.
It did. It did. I really enjoyed what it added.
So let us know in the comments, how do you pick your game you're going to play or you're going to buy whether it's in your own collection, at a convention, in a library, because now public libraries have board games now that you
They do. I keep
check
meaning
out.
to go into ours, and the one time I thought, you know what? I've got some extra time today. I'm going to go ahead and stop and go into the library and see what they've got. It was President's Day. They were closed. Like, you've got to be kidding me.
Let's move on.
All right.
Something old, something new, something borrowed, and something that blew. Well,
Okay.
I thought for sure out of these 4 games, we was going to have one that probably blew. And it probably became one of our favorite games that we played there out of all 4 of these.
It was definitely the funniest.
Mm-hmm. Let's leave it for last.
Oh, all right. Okay. Well, the first one's going to be very short because I did not.
You didn't realize it was
I didn't
in
realize it was on this list, so we
Yes.
already really talked about it before.
Mm-hmm.
But that is Meadow Adventure Book,
Which is new.
which is a new game. And hold on, we're going to do our due diligence because I totally forgot to earlier, so we're going to do it now.
Oh, yeah.
This is a 2024 release, put out by Rebel Studios, designed by Clemens. How in the world? Kalicki?
I didn't even pull it up. So
It's
I
got to be
don't know.
Clemens Kalicki.
Yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
Kalicki.
And then artist by Carolina Kijak.
Or Kayak or
Kijak. Yeah, Kijak, something like that.
from Rebel Studios.
Yep. Okay. So again, we already talked about this one. It is an expansion to the base game of Meadow. Yeah. I don't see any reason to continue to go into it again.
Yeah, because it pretty much, as they explain it right under the title, says
Yeah.
explore new ways to playing Meadow and join the adventure. The only bad thing is, though, that it's adding mods to the game where now you can't play downstream with it.
Right. You have to choose between downstream or one of these modules. You can't do all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I definitely enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to playing some of the other modules for sure. So
Jakarta Traffic.
Okay.
That is our recently received Kickstarter.
yes. All right. So Jakarta Traffic was, and there's not a lot of information on this one. Published again 2024, designed by Simon Schmeider. Schmieder. Schmeider. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. This says it's self-published, but I know on the box there is a publishing company name. I just, for the life of me, can't remember what it was. It was something about Spiel the Game, or
It's
Spiel the Game, because I remember you commenting that Spiel meant game. So, and then I thought, okay, it means game the game, technically. The icon on there is Spiel the Game.
Yep.
Anyway, this plays 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, which I did not go into for Meadow, but that's okay. It says 30 to 60 minutes, and that's about right. The tagline on this is race through Jakarta's traffic as a motor taxi driver. Okay, so you want to describe it?
Basically, making your ways to areas where there's like, I think it's like I don't want to call it pink, but I guess it's fuchsia.
It's a fuchsia, yeah.
There's discs that are stacked up those are either food orders that you need to pick up and take to where they needed to go, or passengers, because you're riding a moped
Yes.
in the streets of Jakarta. And as they say, Jakarta's traffic is so bad that the best way around is mopeds. And I like how they do to say, too, if it's a passenger, it can only be 1 passenger. But then they tell you that technically in Jakarta, sometimes you see 3 and 4 passengers on one little moped. I'm like, going, how do they sit on their shoulders?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I
so
don't know.
you are going there to pick it up, and when you get one to take, you have to look at another board, and it'll tell you what building you need to take it, and the buildings are out there. And once you pick up your person or food or whatever it is, you have to move that to another area now. So they don't all stay in the same place.
Oh, no, yeah, they move around.
And then you go and it could be like you needing to go to one of the buildings.
Yeah.
That's at
There's
the top. It's like,
5
oh, man,
different buildings, I
I am
think.
going to make so much money on this one. And then somebody delivers something before you to another building. Well, this track, the buildings slide down so they move.
Mm-hmm.
and the new ones come in. So you're like almost to that place that you need to drop it off, and all of a sudden it moves. You don't need to be there. You need to have it at a different building now. And you're like, damn it.
Yeah. It was interesting the way that that everything moved.
Yeah, because even the orders did that too.
Yeah. Yeah, the orders moved around.
Moved where they needed to go, moved around depending on where was
so,
at. You could, on your turn, you could move your moped, or you could, you can flip it, turn it before your turn, right? All you had to do is say honk, honk.
Yes, and you could flip a tile anywhere on the board. You could turn it.
You didn't flip it.
You could turn a tile anywhere on the board, or you could replace any existing tile with one you had in front of you.
And you start with one in front of you.
Right.
It's great. Because if you turned a tile, then you put out the little cop guy, and now nobody could touch it until it was your turn again.
Correct.
But while you're turning it, it is changing the way the streets are set up.
Yes.
So you could be going down, somebody in front of you turns that tile, now you've got to figure another way to go. But you go from one building to another area, to wherever the road you're on dead ends to, you go into there. The player boards are cell phones. They're dual-layered cell phones, basically. And that's where you're putting your people on there. And keeps track of your energy, because when you pick up a delivery, you got to pay an energy. When you drop a delivery off, you're paying energy.
Yep.
So you got to go to charging stations to charge your phone, basically.
Yeah, and you've only got 4 energy
that's
max.
That's how everybody finds you, is over your phone. So you got to keep charging your phone so you can keep getting around. And then if you show up someplace where somebody's charging, the person there gets an extra charge. And then you can, if you're the one that comes in, you can get a speech bubble, which is points at the end because you started a conversation with them. So it's good to be in the same place as other people. It was just really interesting.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was very thinky, a very interesting puzzle to put together. That's for sure. I'm looking forward to playing this one again.
Yeah.
To digging this one back out. And I'd love to try it at a higher player count. It plays 4. So
I can imagine with 4 of us playing that game.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Wow.
It'd be interesting. That's for sure. So, okay.
Now we have Railways of the World. This is the one I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a long one, because it comes in like a Lacerda-sized box. So I'm thinking,
it's actually bigger than Lacerda.
Yeah, I'm like going, this is going to be a lot. But I always wanted to play it.
Yes. Well, all right. Railways of the World was released in 2005. Plays 2 to 6 players, ages 10 and up. That should have told us it wasn't very complicated. Well, it's got a weight of 3.02. It's a pretty good weight. Anyway, designed by Glenn Drover and Martin Wallace. Art by Kurt Miller, Paul Newman, and David Oram. Published by Eagle Griffin Games. All right, so Railways of the World is a train game. It is a route building train game. When we were going through the rules and we watched a video on part of it and then went through the rule book for the rest of it, it honestly reminded me a lot of a Cranrail game, where the way you're paying for your routes, you're having to pay to go through mountains, you're paying to go over rivers, but the only thing you didn't have to do is pay to go in and out of cities. It was just a normal price to go in and out of a city.
Yeah, and you didn't pick up the supplies. You don't have to pick up orders.
Right, you don't have to pick up and take them with you. They never actually hit your board like you do in a Cranrail. So with this one, instead of crayons, you have little bitty 1-inch hexagon tiles that you are laying out on the board from city to city. Now, the confusing part with this, and whose brilliant idea this was, I don't know whether it was Martin Wallace or Glenn Drover, but either way, one of them needs to pay for it because it was very confusing. A turn encompasses 3 rounds. A round is just one action. I feel like somebody wrote the directions backwards. I don't know, and they just went with it. I don't know, but it was very confusing to talk in terms of rounds being 3 rounds equals a turn.
I wonder if that came from Age of Steam, because this is a re-implementation of the original game.
Oh, I don't know, but it was very confusing.
Yeah, because I've not played Age of Steam either, though, but I wonder if it came from that.
So in your round, you could lay down up to 4 tracks. More if you got a card that lets you do that. Okay, fine. You could lay down tracks. You could deliver goods, a number of links, which is city to city, along your path, or unless you could use somebody else's train rails. You could use somebody else's rails if you gave them, they got money out of it.
Yeah. They got points or something like that.
Yeah. You could build a city. You could basically color a city. It was a lot of money to do it.
Yes, it was.
$30,000. $30,000. Yeah. You could basically assign a color to a city. When that happened, you drew the
cubes.
resources out of a bag and put them into that city. And those are the resources that you deliver from link to link. There are a number of different colors of resources, and you are picking, I want to say picking up. You're picking up resources from one city and delivering them along the railways to another city of the correct color.
Same color, correct.
So if you're picking up a red cube, you're delivering it to a red city. But the trick is you can only deliver the number of links equal to the strength of your train.
Yep. Which
so
if you continue to upgrade as well.
If you start with a train strength of 1, if you only have a 1, then you can only go one city to city. That's it. You can't skip over anything. You can upgrade as far as an 8. 8 will get you almost across the board. So so then as cities ran out, there were some really cool 3D empty city markers.
Yeah, like a water tower.
Right. Water towers and there was a railroad crossing and I can't remember what. There was 4 of them. But anyway.
Yeah, I was trying to find them.
The game ends when a certain number, based on player count, a certain number of those are on the board. And I think with 2 players, we had 8 of them, which you would have thought went really quick. And it did. It was not a long game. We played for about 90 minutes probably. I was really surprised how easy this game was.
Yes.
I was really expecting it to be much, much harder than it was.
Yeah, once we got the rules down, it was a breeze.
Yeah, it really was. It made total sense.
The whole money thing was really, really
money
cool.
Was tight.
Because the farther down the points you went, the more money you were getting until you got to a certain point, and then all of a sudden, which is about halfway through the game, and then suddenly you're going to start getting less and less as you're going around.
Right.
But by then, you're pretty much got a rail system.
And by then the game's almost over anyway.
If you don't have money, you've got to take a loan or a bond. Yeah. You had to get bonds.
You had to buy bonds in $5,000 increments.
Which you don't get rid of.
Nope.
You cannot pay them off.
They are negative points at the end of the game for every bond you have.
And then for every time it was basically payday, you had to pay the bond a certain amount, so you took it out of how much you were going to get.
Right. You had to pay those back every time. You had to pay $1,000 for every bond you had. It was crazy.
You don't start with money.
No, you start with no money. You have no choice but to take bonds out right off the bat. It was crazy. Yep. But no, what I was thinking about was you only got money, and this is where that whole round versus turn comes in. At the end of every turn, which was 3 rounds,
yes,
i.e. 3 actions, then you would have a income phase.
Right, yeah.
So, it was very, very confusing. Anyway.
Yeah, one of the actions, I think you already covered it, though. One of the actions where you could, instead of building or delivering, you could take a card, right?
No, I did not. I briefly touched on the cards. But yes, you could take cards that, depending on the card, would either go down in front of you, be a permanent ability for the rest of the game, or would be in your hand, and you could play when the situation arose.
Yeah. And then everybody had a goal.
Yes.
Of what to do.
We each had some sort of a goal.
And my goal was expensive up front, but it paid off very well at the end.
I do not remember what my goal even was.
I needed to get from New York to Chicago. So I had to build. If I wanted to get it there quickly, I had to build through the mountains. And since I did build through the mountains,
It opened up the west.
The whole west side of the board was wide open for
I
me.
know.
You got stuck going up and down the East Coast.
Which I mean, I built a huge network up and down the East Coast, all the way down to Memphis. But yeah, you got ahead of me too fast, and I couldn't get it. I never caught up.
I took that early in the game and then just took off from there because you got upset because I only had 5 bonds at the end of the game and you had like 8.
Yeah. Oh well, it was a fun game. It was not even remotely close to what I thought it was.
Yeah. We have 2 more maps. We have Mexico, or southern United States and Central America, or whatever it is, Mexico. And then we have Portugal that we can play. They're a lot smaller than this one. This is a huge map for the base game.
But I loved this huge map. So anyway, it was a fun one. I really enjoyed it.
And finally, the game that we probably had the most fun. This is an old game.
Oh my gosh.
Railways of the World is an old game.
I won't say that this was older. This was not my favorite game, but it was most definitely the most hilarious.
Yes, there was so much laughing going on, and my throat was getting sore from laughing so hard. I'm not sure if it's politically correct nowadays.
Probably not.
But this is Redneck Life.
Yeah.
This was absolutely hysterical.
Yes. Okay. This came out in 2003. First things first here, guys. Published by Gut Bustin' Games. Designed by Lori Drida and Lisa Steenson. Lisa, I cannot
Lori
pronounce names.
Dida.
Lori, what did I said?
You said Drida.
I did say Drida. Lori Dida, Dieda, and Lisa Steenson. Art by Two Tree Art. So I'm assuming it was a group.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Plays 2 to 6 players, ages 13 and up.
Okay, so in this game, you have your Redneck Life score sheet. Each player has it. Down the right side of the game, the card is a number of teeth that starts at 28. Mm-hmm. And as certain things in the game happen, it tells you to lose a tooth. It doesn't matter how much money you have at the end of this game, or not have, as most of us did.
Right.
But the winner was the person who had the most teeth. The money was just a tiebreaker. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, we knew we was in for a hilarious game. When we start off, you have to roll 2 dice to find out what your name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you had to find out what your education level is, because that decided what list you rolled for your occupation. But one of the funniest things is you look at the board. You start off with no money, so you're going to take check-in scrams, which is kind of like bonds from Railways of the World, to pay for things. These, though, you could pay off. They're only like $100 increments or something.
They're essentially payday loans.
Yes.
High-interest payday loans.
So you start off with no money, and when you look at the first board, it's like, I want to roll a 1 because that first one says, I won the lottery or got you got like $4 million.
You get $1 million because you got somebody's inheritance or something like that. It was crazy high money.
The only weird thing about that is that was the first spot. You roll 2 dice. So you can't roll a 1. And then if you looked on the board, if you looked on the board, there were spots all over the place that you won the $1 million, or you won $2 million, or you won $500,000. But it was right before a spot it tells you that tells you you must stop here. No matter if you have 6 more spaces to move, you have to stop on this spot and do it. Now, on your
next turn, you get to go again.
Yeah, which you're rolling 2 dice against, so you're never going to stop on the spots where you're going to. So there's the spots where
they're just there to taunt you.
It tells you what you got to roll on this to get your occupation. Then there's another one. Oh, you're getting married. Roll on to see what your wife's first wife's name is.
Then you get divorced.
Right.
Then
you'll get divorced. And then there's also a list at the bottom for your kids, and you're deducting $10 out of your paycheck each week or every time you got paid per kid. And there was a list of 12. There was 12 lines.
And it told you just right on the back if you needed more.
Now, when I first saw it, I was like, this is a list for your kids if you ever have kids. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'm never having kids in this game. Wrong. This
We were
game
cracking
was
up so hard.
hilarious. What else is on this list? Purchase vehicle. Oh yeah, you had to. You got to a spot where you had to purchase a vehicle.
You did.
And they had pictures of cars with their prices on it and how many youngins could fit in the car. And the funny thing, it was in like a photo album cover or like those
It's
little
a business card holder.
Yeah, a business card holder. And so you have to buy a car. If you needed to take a check-in scrams, you took check-in scrams to cover the cost.
And Lord help you, if you accumulated too many youngins to fit in your car,
You had to buy
because then
another
you
one.
had to buy another one.
Yes.
Yes.
And then you had you
Had your home.
you title
had
a
to buy a home.
deed, so
Yep.
you have to buy a home. I had this nice little pink pull behind trailer that I had, but then you got it.
I did.
You took it away from me, and I ended up in a trailer park that stacked up like in the game Ready Player One.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen that, there's the stacks of the trailers in Cleveland. So that's where I was living. But and then there's a spot that you have to when you do it, you have to furnish your home and pay $100 to Goodwill to furnish your home. Also, at the same time, at that point you got to decide: are you going to have insurance or not have insurance? And then you decided, do I want home insurance? Yep, pay $100. Nope, you don't have to pay none. Health insurance, same thing. Vehicle insurance, same thing. It was good to have the insurance. Because if you didn't, there was cards that are going to come out, and you would have had to pay a bunch.
There's
more money.
cards. There's spots on the board.
Yeah.
All sorts of stuff. Yeah.
And then there's the spot you get divorced.
Yep.
Now you have a second wife, and most of the time they came with kids.
Yeah, they came ready-made kids.
And they would tell you what to name the kids, because I got that one, and I got like 5 kids from this lady, and they were all named Daryl. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Oh, for the divorce, you could only have to pay half the lawyer's fees if you slept with the lawyer. And then later down the road, if you slept with the lawyer, you now have a kid named Slick. It's like, what is going on in this game? And I know right now people are like, this is not very politically correct.
No, it absolutely was not.
If you ever decide to play this game, just go in with knowing that this is just nothing but a big joke.
It is.
It's, I mean, technically, yeah, there are people that are like this, but it's not trying to make fun of the people. It's just, it's one of those games you just go and have a good time with.
Yeah.
So, so the final scoring is teeth remaining, because you just count up the number that's not crossed out.
Oh, yeah, there were all sorts of stupid ways to lose teeth.
Yeah, and then what the leftover cash if it was a tie.
It was not a tie.
It was not a tie. I think I was 2 teeth ahead of you.
Yeah,
you
something
were
like
like 22 teeth, and I was still up at like 25 teeth or something like that.
Yeah. I kept hitting every spot possible that made me lose teeth.
Mm-hmm. I do like, though, you don't ever change your job in this.
No, you never change your job, and you
your
never.
pay does go up every once in a while.
Mine never
Did it?
did. Every once in a while, you won a prize of some sort
Maybe
of
that's what it
$100
was.
or $200 or whatever, but you never actually got a pay raise.
Yeah.
It just went
Well,
down because of the number of kids
Yeah,
you had.
but almost everything had to do with those 2 dice.
Yeah.
And the fact that you could never land on a spot that would give you millions of dollars.
Nope.
It was
Absolutely
always
not.
right after the spot where you had to stop at.
Always. Yeah. No, it was fun. It was good for a
Great laugh.
gut busting laugh.
Mm-hmm. So that is Redneck Life. Play it if you want to. I mean,
Yeah.
it might not be for everybody.
No.
We just had a blast with it.
It was a fun reprieve from heavy thinking games.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the 4 games we've been playing. So what's everyone else been playing? Bill Stiver says he's been playing Ezra at Nehemiah. This is one of the newer Garfield games.
Okay.
He said it was very good. River of Gold and Endeavor of Deep Sea.
Yep. We've played River of Gold.
I want to play Endeavor of Deep Sea. I want to see how much different it is than Endeavor.
Yes.
Very
We
old.
fell in love with Endeavor long before the deluxe edition came
Yeah,
out.
when it
Bought
looked
the
like a
deluxe
little
edition.
satchel.
Yeah. So yeah, we did not order Deep Sea because we have Endeavor, but yeah, I do want to play it because it definitely looks like a totally different game, and I've heard it's a totally different game.
Mm-hmm.
So
And our dude Christian, I got Marvel Zombies Resistance to the table. Thoroughly enjoyed the solo game.
Okay, and I was like, Marvel Zombies Resistance.
That is the one that was released at Gen Con before the actual miniature game. These you have the standees and stuff.
Okay.
It was like the retail version, like the Target version of Marvel Zombies.
Okay. Well, and the reason I wondered is because when I went to look it up, and there's Heroes Resistance and X-Men Resistance.
Yes. And
So
they're
I just
all the
wasn't
standees,
sure.
if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
All right. So I did not know.
So yeah, so that was when everybody was upset because, wait, it hasn't delivered. Why is it being sold at Gen Con? But you had that
It was a
problem
totally
before, too.
different thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, so he said, I also got a game in of Warfighters World War II Mediterranean. Excellent, excellent. That is the game he talked about the last time, and we asked him,
Yes.
hey, you need to explain the game so we know exactly kind of how it plays. Well,
He did.
he does.
Mail call.
So in the mailbag, as we alluded to on Christian's games that he played, he talks about this World War II game. You want to read it?
Sure. I have not read through this whole thing yet, so let's see. All right, here is the answer. Here is the answer to how Warfighter is like Legendary. Because, of course, Legendary is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, you don't fight each other. It is a cooperative game, which he did tell us.
Yeah, at first we thought maybe it was head-to-head.
But no, it's cooperative.
Yep.
And I do remember him saying that. Okay. In Warfighter, you have the mission. This is like the scheme in Marvel Legendary.
Yep.
It gives you the gist of where the objective is going to be and how many resources you have to build your squad. Okay. It is also the timer of how long you have to beat the objective. Share the points with the RP with all players. The objective is like the mastermind. It's a tough location with lots of enemies. The way to the objective are location cards that act like the path enemy troops show up that you have to defeat. Playing cards from the action deck helps out your squad do their duty. Modern Warfighter plays a little different with the World War II expansions, but compatible. Well, interesting.
Might have to see if we know anybody that has it or can find it anywhere at a convention or something.
Yeah.
And
Well,
play
if it's still fairly new, it can't be that hard to find. So,
Hey.
all right. Christian also said that in relation to our discussion about board game stores last week,
Yeah, where you
2
buy your
weeks ago.
games.
The two board game stores that are local to me, roughly, is the Portal Store in Manchester and Tabletop in Newton, Connecticut. Newington.
You're having trouble.
I am having
spelling.
It's been a long
Trouble
day.
reading.
It's been a long
Yes, I know.
day. Tabletop in Newington, Connecticut. I too shop at Amazon, Miniature Market, and eBay. I haven't bought from eBay in a while for a game.
No.
So, well, actually, the last one was Bruges, yeah. That's where I go if I want to find something that's out of print, that I want to find an older game. That's where I would think to go.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't looked for anything that I really wanted to find.
You should try Geek Market.
Yeah, Geek Market's
Because I see
another
a
good
bunch
place.
of stuff on Geek Market.
Oh, always. Okay.
But Manchester, Connecticut, and
Newington, Connecticut.
See, if Justin was still up in Rhode Island, although they're
Talking
a couple
about moving
years,
back.
Talking about moving, yeah. Because that's where he went to college at. It was in Providence, so
Yeah.
maybe if he moves up there, we'll head that direction and go up there and
There you go.
stop in through there. Okay, so J.M. Kohler says, I live in St. Louis, which is the home of Miniature Marker. Yep.
Miniature marker.
Miniature Marker. That's still on the Redneck Life game. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's try that again. So he lives in St. Louis, the home of Miniature Market. So I'll try to get games through them and pick them up at one of their brick and mortar stores. Now, do they still have two of them up there? I know they just opened another one, their newest one.
I know
up.
they had two. And then the one that we always went to closed, but I thought I'd heard it was just moving.
Mhm.
So maybe it
Yeah,
just
they
reopened.
just opened another one. And
That might be the one. So I'm not
I've seen it on a
100%
social
sure.
network, one of the social networks, and I can't
Well, next
remember
time we
exactly
go
what he
through
said.
St. Louis, we'll have to check it out.
Check it out, yeah. And if we go to Geekway, we'll have to go down there and see it.
Yep.
Where was I at? Oh, yeah. If that fails, my preference is Game Nerds Tabletop Merchant, which I haven't heard.
Not heard of that one.
The publisher's website, and lastly, Amazon. Miniature Market's second store there you go, reopened at a new location about 3 weeks ago. You're reading our minds.
Read on and you shall find your answer.
Yes, I am. So J.M. Kohler also said, the YouTube Premium is so worth the cost. That is in reference to when we were talking about how we apologize for all the commercials in our videos now. But Katie is taking care of that. But yeah, I've heard Premium is great. Eric and Journey have Premium. Mm-hmm. We tried to put it on our TV, but since we have YouTube TV,
it wouldn't let you do
let
it.
Me do it with a different account name. So
yeah, so we'll have to just bite the bullet and do it ourselves.
Yeah. Says if you are starting, if I were to start culling the dozen subscription streaming services we have, YouTube Premium would be the last one standing. So
yeah. And I could see that. As much as we watch YouTube, we probably should invest in the Premium. Mm-hmm. We pay YouTube TV enough already. I hate to give them more money, but whatever.
Yep.
We do watch a lot of YouTube, so.
So that's what everybody has been saying. Thanks for the comments. Keep them up.
Absolutely.
So that's going to do it for this episode. If you like this episode or any of our content and haven't subscribed to the podcast, please do so by going to iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or for wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a rating and a comment. This is how others can find the show. But in the meantime, if you want to follow us on social media, just to keep up with us, just follow the links in the show notes. There you can find the links to Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, Threads, Discord, and our merch shop. Or you can contact us directly at meeplesociety@mail.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the next one. And that's going to do it for this episode. If you like this episode let me start that again. So that's going to do it for this episode. If you like this episode or any of our content and haven't subscribed to the podcast, my screen moved as I was reading. And for the third time. And that's going to do it for this episode. If you like this episode or any of our content and haven't subscribed to the podcast, please do go.
Fourth time's the charm?
Fourth time. So that's going to do it for this episode. If you liked this episode or any of our content and haven't subscribed to the podcast, please go. Take 5. So that's going to do it for this episode. If you like this episode or any of our content and haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, please go do so by... God, blah, blah, blah.
That's okay.
Why can't I get through this?
Because at one point you said, you said plodcast instead of podcast. But I was just letting it go.
I need to read it word for word. I can't even talk now. That's going to do it for this episode. If you like this episode or any of our contact.
Do you want me to do it?
No.
Okay, Greg tried 7 times. We gave up.
My God.